University of Texas at Austin. This morning I informed Chancellor Bill McRaven and notified the University of Texas community of my decision on SB 11, the campus carry legislation that passed the legislature in the last session. I based this decision after about 2 months of work and thought. As you may know, we had a working group of faculty, staff, students, many advisors that spent several months examining the policies and looking at potential policies to implement campus carry. They issued their report in December of 2015 with 25 recommendations having to do with safety, having to do with criteria for exclusion zones that are consistent with the law, and training and communication about campus carry. In the 2 months since that report, I've consulted with the faculty, especially our faculty council. There was a very long faculty council meeting on January 25th with faculty opposition to campus carry and a faculty resolution. Numerous petitions from faculty, from departments, from research centers, consulted with students and the student leadership and student organizations, received many letters from campus community, citizens, parents of students. We undertook a very thorough legal analysis of the recommendations. And so today I did announce my decision. Let me say that I do not believe handguns belong in a university setting, in a campus environment dedicated to education and research. But nevertheless, as president of a public university, I am responsible for implementing SB 11, the campus carry law. And so I've decided to accept all 25 of the recommendations in the working group report. My policy statement to the chancellor is based on the findings of each recommendation that I think carries out the intent of the law and the letter of the law, but provides safety for our campus community of nearly 70,000 people, including students, faculty, staff, and visitors. It has been a very difficult decision, balancing the legal requirements with maintaining a productive educational environment in one of the best public universities in the nation. The next steps in this is to implement the policies. And so today I also announced the formation of a campus carry implementation task force. Will be led by our Associate Vice President Bob Harkins, Associate Vice President for Campus Safety, very experienced in law enforcement. And it'll assemble experts across campus, have faculty representatives and student representatives. And this is not to debate the policies, but to develop the procedures for implementing them, determining specific gun exclusion zones within the policy, developing training materials, developing policies, documents according to our established procedures, and developing training and communication to our campus environment. And that task force will get underway right away so that we can fully implement the requirements of SB 11 by August 1st of 2016. So I'll be glad to take your questions.
Private schools en masse are opting out of this as allowed under state law. Are you frustrated that public universities do not also have that choice?
Well, we don't have the choice. As I mentioned in my letter to the chancellor, the presidents of every major private university, I listed 6, have opted out. I would, personally, I would have liked to have that option for our campus, but I don't have that option. And so we are implementing policies that we think provide the level of safety best we can within the requirements of the law.
President, you have hundreds of faculty staff that kind of called on you to fight back harder against this law. What do you want?
And I empathize with those faculty and staff. As a professor, as a teacher myself, I don't want guns in classrooms that I would be teaching in. And so I certainly empathize with them, and that was part of this process with the working group, part of the 2 months of discussion. But in the end, as the president of the university, as the head of a state agency, I do have the responsibility to carry out the law.
Rock and a hard place.
What you say to students who may be incoming freshmen next
Yeah.
year and say, oh my gosh, now I don't know if I want to go there?
Yeah. Well, I would say to students that we are working very hard to provide a safe environment. Some of the policies have to do with safety on campus. And if we look at the evidence of other universities that have campus carry laws, I think they are as safe as campuses that don't. And we're going to work very hard to make sure that this remains a safe campus for students, all faculty and staff and visitors.
We've heard from some state officials who've questioned whether a ban on guns in dorms would comply with the spirit of the law.
Yeah.
How did you kind of reach the decision?
Yeah, so we spent a lot of time on each of the policies, including the dorms. Our belief, legal analysis, is that SB 11 does allow discretion in university residences. There are some residences where concealed handguns can be carried. We have a number of apartment-like facilities that the residents sign a lease and have full control of the apartment as university residents. We looked at, we paid a lot of attention to dorms where it's generally shared living space with roommates that you may not select, a student may not select, shared bathrooms. And we felt, and I should say, in those dorm situations, the vast majority of the residents in dorms are under the age of 21, so not eligible for a concealed handgun license. And so we felt, on the whole, that we were balancing the requirements of the law with the specific safety issues of students predominantly under 21 in a shared living situation.
Dr. Fenves, some of the policies have the language must in it, while others have the language should. Should sounds like maybe you don't have to,
Right.
it's a recommendation. How should that be read?
Well, let me say the working group had 4 lawyers on it, so they are very careful with their language, and they used the should when there is going to need to be some decision-making process about whether a specific laboratory or a specific mental health facility or a specific research facility is going to be a gun exclusion zone. So this was a general policy statement, and we are going to use the implementation task force to set up the procedures to make these specific determinations of the rooms or facilities where guns will be excluded. And so that's why they've used that language.
Will you, down the road at some point, publish a more detailed set of rules in the handbook of
Yes.
operating procedures or in some other venue?
Yeah, again, these are general policy statements. That's why it says policy statement, and so on for the 25. And each of these needs to be translated into specific procedures and policies that we would put in our handbook of operating procedure, criteria for determining the specific laboratories, the procedure and who's going to make that decision. So that all has to be incorporated into our policy handbooks.
Can you get all that done before August 1?
We believe we can. Yeah, we believe we can.
Did you get any,
Yes.
did you get any top-down instruction, suggestion from the regents, either individually, from the chancellor, in getting to this point where we are today?
I had no instructions or discussion with members of the Board of Regents. The Chancellor, as you may know, and the Deputy Chancellor had formed a system-wide working group. That was very useful in coordinating among the institutions in the UT system on general approaches. They did not make any specific decisions. Steve Good, who was the chair of our working group from the UT Law School, was a very important member of the system working group. So there was a lot of communication between our process, between me and the system and the other UT system presidents.
President,
We know
I'm a
you don't-
graduate student and I'm a teacher and I study and go to school here, and I'm very concerned that your leadership has been lacking in listening to our concerns, the faculty's concerns, other students' concerns. Why won't you stand up to the legislature here and demand a type of legal recourse
Yeah.
that challenges our autonomy here in the workplace? I'm very disturbed that this has gone from the policy recommendation all the way through to this moment where I don't see you really enacting any sort of vision that coincides with what we as people who make this university work and need for our workplace safety demand. Why won't you stand up to the legislature and join this law?
Well, I did listen to, I did listen to all the views of the faculty, petitions of the graduate students. I met with the students.
I understand you have to
Well,
confront SB 11, but why won't you enjoin the law? To say
Well,
that
because
you're
I don't have a,
representing your
I don't have a legal basis for enjoining the law, and I do have a responsibility, again, as president of the university, to uphold the law that's passed by the legislature.
Has there been any
Right.
recruitment of faculty, staff, or students? Have you heard?
Yeah, so I'm very concerned about the effect of campus carry on the recruitment, retention of faculty, and of students. Over the past year, we've been doing a lot of recruitment, putting my administration together and my leadership team. We've been doing a lot of faculty recruitment as normal. We are monitoring this. We are going to keep an eye on it. Right now, this has been in decision-making phase. Once the law is implemented, once these policies, which have been announced today, get promulgated and implemented, it could change the recruitment and retention. As I mentioned in my letter to the chancellor, it's something we are going to monitor very carefully, and we will look at what adjustments can be made if there are problems. Again, I have to be responsible to be consistent within the law. Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody.
No confidence in Greg Fenves leadership.
Okay.
No confidence.
Oh, yeah.